Hey y'all, it's your girl Constance Rae here. This video is for my friends who are new to acting. You've just landed your first role in a major project and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to learn all these words? You can do it. You can do it. I know you can. And I'm going to show you how. So, I first of all, it's this is a mental thing. Let's just put that out there. This is a mindset thing, um, and so we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna build our memory muscles, and it's a great tool to have anyway. So the very first thing that you gotta do is you have to give yourself time to learn these lines. Okay? If you've been given your script 2 to 3 months ahead of time, first of all, that's love. Okay? Everybody don't do that. All right? So don't sleep on that love. Don't waste time. Don't wait to the last minute trying to learn these lines, especially if you're showing up on multiple pages in the script. Like, don't do that to yourself. If you have enough time to break it down and go piece by piece, give yourself 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day. If you can give yourself 1 hour a day to just focus on your lines, you will be off book in no time. You will find as you're going along your daily practice that you'll even start memorizing faster than your day one. It's crazy. The mind is amazing once you start programming it the way you want to program it. So, you carve out your hour a day. When you look at your script, some people like to highlight their lines on the page. Listen, guys, I'm not against it. You definitely have to find what works for you. My only word of advice with doing that is you better always have your highlighter with you. And whatever color you start marking up your script with, stick with that color. Don't confuse your brain, okay? It's all about repetition. We're we're programming all these words into our mind, so we want to be as nice to ourselves as possible and not complicate things. So if you started highlighting in yellow, keep highlighting in yellow and make sure you don't highlight anything else other than what you have to say, okay? So, but me personally, I don't use highlighters. I like to um, read the name of my character and be able to recognize exactly where I am on every page. But to each his own. Hopefully, this will be a guide to help you finding what works for you. All right. So the very first step that I recommend is taking your first page that you appear speaking on and digest it. And what I mean by digest is go line by line, sentence by sentence. So even break your lines up into sentences. Read the sentence out loud 10 times, as monotone as you possibly can, and just keep repeating it out loud. Keep repeating it out loud. Yeah, 10 times. But I'll show you. I'll show you. I know it sounds crazy, but I'll show you. What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? Oh my gosh. What have I told you about that word nephew? What have I told you about that word nephew? See how you just still have it? You just still got it, right? If you can repeat it over and over again, you can drop that script and you can repeat it over and over again, okay? Once you have realized that you got that first sentence down, and do a happy dance, celebrate, move on to the next line. Going on to the next one, okay? Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. What did I tell you about that word, nephew? Yeah, I'm finishing up packing now, and then I'll hit the road. Guys, you can do this for the whole page. And then do your happy dance. Say, yeah, I got a whole page. You can do this. And you can repeat this every day with every page you show up on. You can, you can, you can. And you will be amazed at how quickly you can do it, too. Now, what I will tell you is important to do, just like I did when I picked up that second line, it's always important to go back and make sure that you still have the first line that you do. When you move on to day 2, before you move on to your next page, go back and make sure that you have your first page down, okay? Because it's all about recalling it. You got to be able to recall it quickly, okay? So, read it over and over, then recite it. And remember, guys, make sure that it's monotone. You don't want to start getting to the habit of reciting it a certain way. The best thing to do is have a flat base so you can build your character on top of it. Like I said, you don't want to have to think about these lines later. Okay? So remember the lines as monotonely as possible, and it will help you later when it comes time to actually deliver those lines. You won't be married to saying it a certain type of way. Okay? Now, I'm going to add another layer to it because for some reason, writing things down really helps me. I kind of blame it on grade school when we used to have spelling words, because I used to have those hard teachers who wouldn't say your homework is to write that word 10 times. My teacher used to say you have to write that word 25 times. And we did it. Of course I did it because, I was an overachiever. But so writing things down really helps me. And this is probably my oldest technique when it comes to memorizing lines. I will take, and you can take, index cards, which will help you later when you're rehearsing this on your feet, just to have cards to reference rather than full pages of script. Now, we're not writing stage directions. We're not writing anything in parentheses here. We're not even writing the actors' names. We are strictly writing the words that are being spoken. Now, how do you know who says what? This is how. You take 2 different colors of ink to write with. Or maybe you write the other character's lines in pencil, and then you write your lines in an ink that's bright, that stands out, but it's easy to read. So I'm going to write the person opposite to me. I'm going to write their lines either in pencil or black ink. But then, as soon as their line is over, I'm going to write my line right behind it in blue or red, something that stands out to me. So my line cards are just the words. They are just the words. And you can do the 10 times over trick as you're writing them down too. What I like to do is say, I'll write down the pickup line. And guys, we're new. So a pickup line is the line before you say what you say. So whenever you're in a scene, whoever your scene partner is, their last word, their last line is going to be your pickup line. And your last line is going to be their pickup line. So whenever your director says pick up to, that's what they're talking about. We want to hear the line before you say XYZ. Okay? So for this particular page that I'm on, my scene partner has a few sentences first. Then I say what have I told you about that word, nephew? I'm writing mine in blue or red ink, and I'm going to write what nephew says after that right behind it to the point where I'm filling up the entire card of dialogue. And that helps you to not only remember your lines through the repetition of 10 times over, Don't move on to writing the next piece until you know that piece that you just wrote, you know? But it helps you also to know what your scene partner says too. I say you're really on fire when you know your lines and your partner's lines. But when you do exercises like this, it's not that far fetched because you're reading what everybody says over and over and over, or at least everybody in the scene with you. So once you start training your mind to really remember in this way, you'll be amazed at what you can remember for real. So write them down, write them down, write them down, and then you can go back and recall, go back and recall, go back and recall. Like I said, give yourself an hour a day. Here's another tip. Find you a scene partner, okay? A scene partner to run lines with on your own time. Does not have to be anyone in the production. It really only has to be someone who can read. Guys, that's the only requirement. So preferably you want it to be somebody who is excited that you got this role and is so happy for you and supportive of you and your endeavors. They'll be very willing to do something to help you. Children make great readers as long as they're at a good reading level. They make great readers because they don't attach any crazy judgment or anything to what's happening. My niece reads with me all the time when I'm learning lines because I ask her to read this person and she just reads for that person. But the other thing is when you're working with a scene partner, you not only want them to be proficient readers, you also want them to check you. Like I said, you want to learn a way to be able to do this all by yourself. But when you do have the luxury of having someone to run lines with, get all that you can out of that time with them. So not only have them read the other person's line for you, but have them check you. Say, for example, you might be paraphrasing a line. What I tell you about that word, nephew? You want your reader to say, no, it's what have I told you about that word, nephew? And that brings me to paraphrasing. The playwright or the screenwriter took a lot of time and attention and dedication into prescribing these words for these roles. As an actor, you never want to take it upon yourself to switch up what is being said. Now, it happens. It happens. But that's why if you're running lines with a partner, you want to make sure they keep you on your toes and they check you when you are off a word or two, okay? When you misphrase something, make sure that they stop you and say, no, that's not right, so that you can go back and run that thing again to perfection. Now, if you get on set and the director says, say it how you would say it, fine. But always give the director the room to do that. Do not make that decision as an actor. As an actor, whatever that script says is my life, is what I have to say. It's the essence of who I am. You have to stick to it, okay? So be very, very disciplined when it comes to saying exactly what the script says you to say, okay? So when you run lines with a partner, you don't have the script at all. They're the only one with the script. Okay? They say it. If they have to correct you, let them correct you. Repeat it to yourself over and over and over a few times. When you feel like you got it, say I got it and run it again. Now, if you're techie, if having a scene partner on hand isn't very likely for you, you have a smartphone, go to that good old voice recorder on your phone, right? Hit record, read the other person's lines out loud on your page, right? Leave pauses in between for you to go back and say your lines, right? So you hit the recorder, read the other person's lines in the scene with you out loud while you're recording. Stop recording, save it, go back, play it, So then you just turned yourself into your scene partner. Isn't that neat? So you playing it back. The other person says their line. Then you can say yours. You've already recorded yourself saying the next line. Then you can say yours. You see how this works? So that way you still can do this independently. And then it's all about recalling it. Again, I'm being repetitive and even telling you how to do this because it's all about repetition. You want to make sure you do it as many times as you have to saying, I got this. And listen, when you get a whole page down pat and you can go face down and you don't have to look at that script, do your little dance, do your celebration, dust your shoulders off, be proud of you. That's major. You're teaching yourself a new thing and you're succeeding at it. So please, guys, be kind to yourself. Be nice to yourself during this process. If you get frustrated, take a brain break, play a song, do a dance, whatever you need to do to just get those nerves out, right? And then just get back to it. Get back to it. Don't give up, 1 hour a day. If, like I said, if you're new to acting, please set realistic goals. Give yourself an hour a day to learn a page a day. 1 page. By the end of the week, you might find that it only took you 30 minutes to learn 1 page. Well, you could spend that other 30 minutes running everything that you've learned that week, or you could spend that next 30 minutes getting ahead and learning the next page. But just take it at your own pace. Like I said, if you've been afforded the time in advance with your script, then you can definitely ease your way through this, okay? Now, when you're crunching at the last minute, that is a whole nother story, and we ain't gonna worry about that because we're gonna start out as pros. We're gonna have this pro mentality, and we approach this like any other job that we do. I mean, think about it. Let's think about it realistically. Have you ever been on a choir? Have you ever been in the marching band? Have you ever been a cheerleader? Have you ever played a sport that required learning plays? Have you ever worked at a job that had codes? Listen, I used to work at a grocery store in high school, right? And after so many days of typing in those PLUs, those POU numbers for the produce, honey, I knew them by heart. I can tell you bananas 4011 right now. And I was in high school 10 years ago. 11, 12 years ago, So it's, if you really think about it, you have memorized stuff like nothing. How many lines to songs have you memorized? Why? Because you liked the song, you listened to it over and over, and you remember the words. We're doing the same thing here. You like your new role. You like this opportunity to show the world what you got, what you can do. You love the fact that you've been given the chance and the responsibility to take on this role. And so you love your script, and so you love your lines. And because you love your lines, you read them over and over and over again. And because you want to do your best, you dedicate the time to getting off book. Off book means memorize. You don't have to look at the script. So we'll get into what to do next after you learn your lines. But for now, dedicate that time, take action, and get those lines down. I love you, and I'm proud of you. Congratulations again. This is major. Everybody can't do what we do. Bye.